Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Rob Phillips. So for today's class, we're going to be doing a 45-minute Yin Yoga sequence, which is all about releasing our Psoas. Now, the Psoas is a primary hip flexor that's located on the front and inner line of our femur bone and runs through the back of the pelvis and connects with the back of the pelvis and our lower back. It's a very complicated muscle and is often the culprit if you're experiencing things such as back pain, tightness in the hips, or trouble moving and things like that. One of the main reasons for this comes from the fact that we spend so much of our daily lives sitting in chairs. And even if we're relatively active, things such as cycling and running can have a tendency to lead to tightness in the psoas as well. So for today's sequence, we're going to start really mild on our back. We'll build things up gradually, and we'll culminate in Dragon Pose, which is kind of the strongest hip flexor release in the Yin Yoga repertoire. In terms of props, you won't specifically need anything, but if you do have access to a blanket and maybe a block or two, that can be helpful. Once we're ready to go, we'll find our way onto our back, and that's where we'll begin. So once you found your way onto your back, I'll give a few options for how we can set up. So you can spread out simple in Shavasana, as I am doing here. If you want to get a little head start on the release of the psoas and it feels good for your body, you might try Butterfly Pose with feet together and knees apart. Now, if that feels a little intense on the inner thighs, you can either slide blocks underneath or maybe just skip this altogether. Maybe it's not a great option for you. But once you found a comfortable position here, if you haven't yet, close the eyes. Let the body relax. Really let yourself land and settle. So alongside the physical benefits of this Yin Yoga style of practice, we also get an opportunity to really slow down, to really tune into things. And this awareness, this kind of mindfulness practice that we built into things is one of my favorite reasons to practice Yin Yoga, beyond just the physical. Put a different way, we can think of every moment in our practice as being a chance for meditation, being a chance for awareness. So starting that process here, just noticing how you're feeling in the body, noticing what your present state of mind is. Letting go of anything at all that you're holding on to. Letting go in the body, noticing that sense of physical space. Letting go within your mind, noticing that sense of calm, that sense of presence that may arise there. Through this style of practice, again and again, we'll let go of everything we're holding on to. As you let go, just notice what remains. You can feel the movements of your breath as they rise and they fall. You can notice the contact with the ground beneath you, or anything else that may be releasing or arising within your body. And knowing that oftentimes for this sort of work, the less that we try to make happen, the more we just let things be as they are, that's where things can become even more powerful. So to that end here, just settle for a few more moments, letting things be as they are, and notice what it's like for you to just be here in each moment. Take a gentle inhale breath through our nose. A gentle exhale breath out our mouth. And slowly open your eyes, and we're going to stay here on our back. So if you ended up in butterfly legs like I did here, I'm going to encourage you to extend the legs, or please do extend the legs now long onto the floor. You might appreciate taking a moment here just to kind of shake them out, to let them move just a little bit. And then once you've done that bit of movement here, let's keep our left leg straight and simply hold the right knee, the right thigh into our chest. So as you hold the right thigh into the chest here, notice how the left leg feels long. Shoulders are nice and soft, ribs and belly are relaxed here. Do recommend closing the eyes and just giving things a moment to settle. So if you're newer to Yin Yoga, or maybe newer to practicing with me, just keeping in mind the way I was taught this practice is most important thing is to listen to what we feel in the body. Each pose will have a specific effect, but being conscious that the level of intensity of those effects never becomes overly strong. If things do flare up, if we feel sharp or intense sensation, that's the body telling us that we're working too much. And in that case, we'd need to back out. We might need to even exit the pose entirely. Now, this pose is relatively mild, so that might not be the case, but certainly some things we'll do later on. It might be possible to feel that stronger sensation. So always listen to your body and always respect what your body tells you. If the level of sensation is right, in that case, we have permission to really relax, to really let go. Relaxing the tissues in the body, letting gravity take us more and more, so that as we do let go, we're accessing deeper, denser layers of tissue. We're doing deep and subtle work here beyond what typical yoga practice or even typical stretching might be able to give us. And as I said in our introduction here, given that we are moving so slowly and given that the poses are fairly simple here, we could let each moment in our practice essentially be its own little meditation. So here for now, take just a few more slow breaths. Feel your final moments in this first pose. Take a gentle inhale breath right here, and then slowly exhale. Release the right leg onto the floor. Release the arms by your side and just take a few breaths here. So that was a relatively mild pose, but if you had a lot of tightness in the hips, you might be feeling a good bit going on. Certainly notice the difference between the two sides of your body. Notice the effects as they resonate, as they integrate here. Let's take a gentle inhale breath right here. Exhaling, we'll draw the left thigh into the chest, left knee into the chest. Holding and giving a little bit of a squeeze. And so just letting you know, if you notice me using my phone here, that's my preferred method for timing the poses. I like to keep things nice and even, and I just find I can really be less distracted by using that to kind of track things. So that's what I'm doing if you notice me messing with things here. Now in terms of this pose, as you hug that left thigh in, feel that subtle release on the front of your right leg. Keep the shoulder soft, the ribs, the belly soft, and just let the pose do its work. Noting if there's any opportunity to let go of something you may be holding on to. Becoming aware of the sensations of how the pose feels, maybe the rise and the fall of your breath. Can you really experience just what it's like to be here in your body, in this moment? Again and again, coming back to this idea of letting go of anything extra that you might be holding on to. For now, here, just a few more slow breaths. Take a final complete breath right here where you are. And slowly, as you exhale, release that left leg onto the ground. Take up some space on the floor. Breathe fully there for a few moments. Notice again the difference between the two sides and feel that sort of energetic resonance that comes as we release. Here now, let's take a deep inhale breath through our nose. Big exhale breath out our mouth. Now from here, let's flip ourselves over and roll onto our belly. Now this is optional, but if you have access to a blanket here, I'm going to recommend bringing it with you and actually setting up said blanket on the right side of your mat, because that's going to be helpful for where we're about to go next. Once you've made that transition, roll yourself forwards onto the belly. Rest there for a few moments. Feeling always the ground beneath you, feeling that sense of connection and rooting. From here, all I'm going to do is bend my right leg alongside me at about 90 degrees. I'm going to rest it on that blanket just so I get a little bit of cushion, a little bit of padding, coming into a half frog pose. So that half frog pose is intended to release the inner line of the thigh, and where the psoas muscle runs and connects into our lower back. For some folks, this pose will be very mild, so if you don't feel a ton going on, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Again, we're just really easing into things little by little. So can you just find a sense of awareness here as you are? Notice the body, notice the breath and all of it. Practicing a sense of contentment with things just as they are here. This will be a slightly shorter hold, so really just a few more breaths here. Feel those final moments right where you are. Take a gentle inhale breath right here. And slowly exhale. Release that right leg down. Let yourself land. Let yourself settle right there. And take a few deep breaths. Now, if you did use a blanket, as I did, I'm going to encourage you to move that over to the left side of your mat, just so you have that little bit of cushion for the knee. Having made that transition here, you can now bend your left leg and maybe rest it onto that blanket, giving yourself a bit of cushion, giving yourself a bit of padding. But otherwise, still resting on your belly, still settling right there. The intention is to feel that release on the inner line of the thigh. And as we relax, as we settle, just noticing what your experience is here. Can you feel the ground beneath you in that contact with the earth? Is there anything you're holding on to that you could let go of, that you could release? If so, please do just that. Let yourself release. Let yourself settle here for these last few breaths. Take a final gentle inhale breath right where you are. And a slow exhale to release your left leg all the way onto the floor. Again, rest there. Settle there for a few moments and really let the body integrate. Let the body absorb the effects of the pose you just did. I'm going to do one more pose while we're here on our belly. Now, even though the focus of the sequence is hip flexors, psoas, there is that strong relationship between that part of the body and our lower back. So I'm going to integrate a Sphinx pose here now, just so we can get a little more direct release of it. So for your Sphinx, you'll rise up onto the forearms, feel a bit of lift in the chest. You're welcome to settle here, just making sure that you feel supported, making sure that any pressure that arises in your lower back is light to moderate at most. Within the framework, you can experiment with the exact placement of your arms, whether they're closer or farther. You can have the chin drop down or up. It's really at your discretion here. Listen to your body. But now that you're in the pose, again, let yourself just be in the pose. There's nowhere that we need to get. There's no destination or goal to this sort of work. The practice is about connecting with our experience just as it is, really meeting it and seeing it fully. We might remember something I said a bit earlier on, and that is, with this sort of work, oftentimes the less we try to make happen, the more powerful it can be for us. Always letting go, always releasing that which we don't need. Take a final complete breath right here where you are. Slowly exhale and lower all the way down to the earth. And so from here on our belly, just one final moment, take a nice deep inhale breath through your nose. And a long exhale breath out your mouth. Let's now gently press our hips back towards our heels, coming into a child's pose. Feeling the spine round, feeling everything release and decompress there. From here, we'll pick ourselves up and set ourselves up for, as I said, kind of the deepest release that we're going to explore today, and that is our dragon pose. Now, this is definitely a case where having a blanket or some sort of cushion for the knees, I think, is helpful. If you're practicing without props and you don't have that available, remember you can double up your mat, and you probably have something lying around that you can use for this. Blocks can be helpful, although not explicitly required, so keep those in mind as an optional prop as well. So I'm going to recommend padding the knees, and we're going to step our right foot up first, somewhere near the front of our mat. And so, with that right foot stepped up here, the intention is to allow for the hips to settle. So you want to let the hips settle enough that you feel that release on the front of the thigh, onto the hip flexors, onto that psoas muscle. Some folks may appreciate dropping down lower onto the elbows. Others may want to rise up on blocks. It's really at your discretion. Remember, the intention here is to listen to your body and to adapt accordingly as may be needed. Dragon pose, dragon pose by its nature is a bit stronger. Tends to stir up some sensations. We may notice a little bit going on. Can you meet that experience without any added resistance, without any added pushback or striving? Really just surrendering into that pose again and again. If any resistance does arise, ask if you can let it go. Each time that you do let go, Notice what remains. Notice any sense of calm or clarity. Now from here, I'm going to offer an additional variation for those who may want to explore it. If you would like, consider raising your right hand up onto the thigh and coming into a twisted dragon. I think you'll find that that reorientation of the spine, of the torso, will allow you to target that back leg, target the psoas that we're focusing on, exactly where you need it. This twist is, of course, optional. If it's too much, you don't need to do it. You'll notice I'm resting with a straight arm. You could do that. If you prefer to use a block or come down low, anything is fine as long as the level of intensity is not too much for your body. Again, having made this adjustment into this new phase of the pose, can you be there? Can you notice what that experience is like in each moment? Just a few more deep breaths. Just a few more moments settling right here where you are. Take your final complete breath right here. Slowly unravel your way out from the pose. And I like to move a little bit after dragon pose. So if you want to rock the hips forwards and back, shake the right leg out, or even come into like a downward dog for a few breaths, those are all great options to consider. Once you've worked out any little movements, let's come into a neutral shape. So I'm just going to rest here in child's pose. Again, any neutral shape is fine. But feel the effects of that much stronger hip release now begin to settle. And we started very mild, and by now we've gotten quite into the deep end in terms of psoas release, hip flexor stretches. But hopefully starting to feel how, by really focusing on this one really important part of our body, that can have all sorts of downstream effects that will resonate through the whole body. And so from here now, as we're ready to, we'll set up, of course, for second half of that dragon pose. You can step your left foot up somewhere in between the hands, or rather have both of your hands onto that inner line of the left thigh. And so again, how long you go in terms of your stride, how you set up specifically will depend on your body. So we're aiming to feel noticeable release, but nowhere to the point of intensity. You might need to shift your weight so that you're not compressing your kneecap. Every person's version of this pose will look quite different. Knowing there will be some challenge here. It's not meant to be an easy pose, but always respecting the body. And if it's too much, you can back out. You don't need to strive through it. You can stay with straighter arms. You can come down to forearms, really whatever works for your body. Listen to what you're feeling. Trust your intuition with this. As you settle, notice just what you're feeling here. Let go of any resistance, of any striving. Really let yourself be here in this moment with things just as they are. Now you're welcome to stay just like this or consider adding your twist. Again, the intention isn't to get this like huge rotation through the upper body. The intention is to just shift where the weight is so that as we do so, we can feel our sweet spot onto the psoas, onto the hip flexors. Having made that shift here, again, notice what that's like. Let go and surrender again and again. Just a few more deep breaths here. Last kind of big stretch for today. Take your final complete breath here where you are. Slowly release down to the floor. Take a few moments to move and unravel any which way that you might like, including perhaps coming up and back into that downward facing dog pose. After just a few breaths of movement, let's end up kind of back where we started, which is lying down flat on our back. So this is not quite final shavasana, but we're moving in that direction. We'll be going there pretty soon. So first, as you lie down here, notice hopefully pretty profound difference, especially in the hips and the lower body where we've been focused today, versus how you felt when we first lied down a little while ago and we just started practice. Let's take a gentle inhale breath through our nose. Gentle exhale breath out our mouth. We'll slowly walk the feet in here so that knees will be bent. And I invite you just to do kind of an easy sway here, easy release side to side. And then as you come back into the middle now, let's cross our right leg over the top of the left, stacking the knees. There you'll take a gentle inhale breath. Slowly now exhale and roll all the way over to your left-hand side. And now from your left-hand side, open and extend your right arm out onto the floor. Let it rest somewhere that feels comfortable, somewhere that you can really let go. This is not a hip-specific pose. It's actually my favorite way to end almost any sequence, with a pair of twists like this. Feeling that ringing out for the shoulders, for the side body. Even a bit of release for the hips themselves from this twist. As you settle, as you land here, just be here in your body, in each moment. And truly notice just what that feels like for you. Please take a final complete breath right where you are. Slowly wind your way into the middle. Undo the cross of the legs. Let yourself shift. Let yourself release a bit side to side. And then from here, we'll now cross our left leg over the top, stacking the knees. And take a gentle inhale breath right there. Slow exhale to roll all the way over to your right-hand side. And again, from your right-hand side, now taking your left hand, left arm out and alongside you, resting that shoulder on the floor. Getting that nice ringing out for the belly, the shoulders, and even a little bit for the hips. And as you rest, as you do settle here, notice just what it's like to be here in this moment. No expectations, no preconceptions. Simply welcoming things again and again as they truly are. And take your final complete breath right where you are. Slowly, as you inhale, wind the legs into the center and undo the cross. Let this be your final chance, final opportunity to move and release a little bit as you would like. And once you've done so, extend the legs onto the floor and set up for your final rest. Final Shavasana. Certainly consider incorporating props into the mix or just keeping it simple right where you are here. Scan the body one last time from head to toe and ensure that there's truly zero remaining effort. And just one last time here as we transition, take a deep inhale breath through the nose. Open up the mouth to exhale and let absolutely everything go. We'll be quiet and still here for just these last few minutes. And so here, allowing yourself just a final few moments on your back. Tuning back in and reconnecting. Noticing what effect those last few minutes of stillness may have had on the body and on the mind. And from there, gradually deepening the breath, gradually introducing some movements as you're ready for them. From those movements, please make your way onto your side and ultimately up into a comfortable seat where you can close your eyes one last time. Final moment here, feel the full effects of your practice, feel the full change you've cultivated, both body and mind. And from here, we'll end officially with a short offering of metta, loving kindness. So I'll say just a few phrases, and if the meaning of these phrases creates a connection for you, consider repeating the phrase internally to deepen that connection for yourself. We'll join hands in front of the heart. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings live with ease and freedom from suffering. And may we dedicate our practice for the benefit of all beings. We bow. So thank you so very much for joining me today for this practice. As always, if you have any questions or thoughts, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like. And if you want to see more videos just like this, as well as other videos about the topic of yoga and meditation, please subscribe to my channel because I'll be coming out with more videos each and every week. So thank you.